This is the Savvy Investor radio show and podcast. For help with your retirement, schedule a 15-minute phone conversation with the team at ProStatus Financial Advisors today. Just call 866-597-1040 and at thesavvyinvestorradio.com.
Welcome back to the Savvy Investor radio show and podcast with the team at ProStatus Financial. Mike Canet is here. Ryan Herbert is here. My name is Randy Cook, and we talk through some of the issues that you might be thinking about and worried about when it comes to your finances, your 401ks, and certainly your retirement as well. And guys, we're in one of those times right now where it's kind of, to me, it's kind of like watching a movie and something happens, something bad happens, and then the screen goes to black, and then it says 2 years later, and then they show you what happens. You never get to really see what happens in that 2 years. There's a lot of people that right now are looking at politics and saying, I ain't doing anything until after the midterms, or they're saying economically, this market is overbought. I just see nothing but recession. That's what everybody's talking about. I'm just going to sit still. So, Mike, for people who are not doing anything right now, and they've probably got the same allocation they did when they were 40 years old, what is the danger here of just sitting and waiting it out? I know we don't want to be day traders, but we also don't want to sit down and just watch our money evaporate. What do you say to that person right now?
Well, fortunately for Ryan and ourselves, when we got out of stock picking school, they gave us crystal balls. So we know exactly what, when, and where, and how, right? I mean, it's just so cool. And it's unique to us because Ryan and I are the only two people in the whole world that have these crystal balls. So we know exactly what's going to happen, right?
Love it.
Obviously being cynical there. You know, the reality is that political turmoil, political upheaval happens all the time. And if you lean right, you're saying to yourself right now, well, that SOB, I think this is great. Well, that's fine, but the people on the left think it's political turmoil. And if you lean left, you think it's political turmoil right now, but when your guy's in charge, you Republicans, you conservatives are having a heart attack because it's political turmoil.
Right.
So political turmoil happens all the time, right? And if you think about how the voters, right, are broken up in the United States, it's about a third of us lean left, about a third of us lean right, and about a third of us are in the middle. So, I mean, we could quibble about what those percentages are, but that's kind of what it seems to be. So it means that there's at least a third of the population to half of the population thinks that we're in a world of crap every single year. So what you wind up with is paralysis by not analysis, but just paralysis by the fear, right? I mean, you're so afraid of what's this guy going to do, or what's this politician going to do, or what's, this woman going to do, that I can't make a decision. Well, failing to decide is a decision, right? I mean, and we see catastrophes happen all the time because we failed to make decisions based on the information that's provided for us. And for Ryan and I, a long time ago, I think we were like most advisors, at least I was when I first started out, 30, 40 years ago when I first started doing this. I was like all the other advisors, put your money in the stock market, have a balanced portfolio, and set it and forget it. Well, the set it and forget it works really well when you're 20, 30, 40, maybe into your 50s. But gosh, by the time you're getting to your mid 50s into early 60s, life changes, right? I mean, because all of a sudden, we're not in the grow accumulation part of life. Now we're in a, heck, I'm going to be unemployed here for the rest of my life. What do I need to do? And when you're in that position, you can't just wait and see. I mean, think about 2000, and I know we go back to 2000, but there's this misunderstanding about the stock market in general. If you take out 90, let's say 85 to roughly 1999, if you take out that 15-year period or so, stock market average returns look dramatically different, right? And yes, we as the media, we as advisors, we like to cherry pick and say, look, well, rolling 10-year averages and all that, if you look at it over the last, 100 years, the stock market's averaged 8%, if you include dividends and such, or 9 or 10% or whatever the number happens to be. That's all well and true. And that's a wonderful point. But I think a more important point is that, Randy, I'm your age. I think we're about the same age. I'm 63 years old. Mm-hmm. You know what I don't have?
What don't you?
40 years to wait. I don't have 40 years to wait. I'm not waiting 40 more years to see what happens to my money. Right. So at this phase of your life, as you're going into your 50s and your 60s and your 70s and your 80s, the wait and see approach I just don't think it works anymore. And the solution isn't to uproot your garden. You can't change your doctor every 2 weeks, but it's to create a sound plan. As you get older, you start having your family practitioner coordinate your health care, but they're bringing in a lot of specialists to make sure all your needs are met. And while you might not be on 1,000 medications, you're still going to see the proctologist, and you're going to see the heart doctor, and you're going to see the eye doctor, and you're going to see the hearing doctor, and you're going to see the liver doctor, and the kidney doctor, and the feet doctor, and the knee doctor, and all those people. You're going to see all those people because they all specialize in this part of your life. And there's somebody coordinating them all, which is important because you need somebody to make sure all the pieces of the puzzle are put together. But it still requires having a plan for this phase of your life. And that's why, as phase 2 fiduciaries, Ryan and I look at things completely different. We put together, it's interesting, Ryan and I consult with about 20 other firms across the country, teaching them how to do what it is we do, how to actually be true financial planners. And we had somebody in our office just recently out of Texas, and the conversation revolved around what he thought a financial planning firm did and what we do. And his firm, they talk to people about taxes, and then they tell them to go talk to their CPA or enrolled agent, or to go get the stuff done themselves. And they talk to people about estate planning, and then send them to the estate planning attorney, who gives them a discount because I refer you clients. And then they tell them to talk to their homeowners insurance people, and then they tell them to talk to their medical insurance guy, the guy selling them supplements for their gap coverage, and sends them all over the place, but they don't really actually know any of the rules to put them all together. I mean, I specifically asked this guy, well, what's your recommendations for how often you should update powers of attorney? And he said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, powers of attorney for financial matters and healthcare, how often should they be updated? And he kind of looked at me and said, well, I don't know, something changes. And that's not true. You should probably update your estate plan, certainly your powers of attorney, every 3 to 5 years, because they become stale. And while I know that's not related to the market per se and the paralysis that we see, the fact is that by having somebody coordinate a true plan, by having a real financial planner, somebody who really does planning, that's the difference maker. So you're no longer in this paralysis. You no longer have to worry about, who's elected president, what's going on in Iran, what's going on in Russia, what's going on in China. All of that becomes secondary, where you can focus on what you're supposed to be focusing on during retirement, which is, either the grandkids or the traveling or the garden or the golf game or your motorcycles or your boats or whatever the heck it is you're doing that you've worked so hard to be able to accomplish. Why are we in a position? Why have you made the decision to work with the team or do it yourself? Could be even worse. I mean, lawyers are their own worst clients. Doctors are their own worst patients. Why would you be your own worst advice giver by doing this all yourself instead of enjoying the time you have left with the people that you love and care about and enjoying your time? Instead, you're Googling revocable living trusts. And I'm telling you right now, by the time you read all 967,000 hits, you're dead. You can't make a decision, right? I mean, if you Google, should I buy an annuity? By the time you read all 1 million articles, you're dead. By the time you're done reading about what are the geopolitical implications of us losing the world's reserve currency for buying and trading in oil, by the time you're done with that, you're dead. So that's why it's so important to have a true financial planning team, so that you don't have to take on that ownership. You don't have to take that onus on yourself.
You're listening to the Savvy Investor Radio Show and Podcast with the team at ProStatus Financial. Mike Canet and Ryan Herbert are here, and we're talking about people right now. You might be one of them that you're just kind of saying, I'm not doing anything with my money right now. I'm just going to sit, and I'm going to wait for all of this to kind of iron out. And as Mike says, we're always going to have times like this, good and bad. And Ryan, I think behind all of it, people want to know the answer to this question. Am I going to be okay? And sometimes if they're paralyzed, they don't even want to hear the answer because they're scared for somebody like you to say, you know what, we need to make some adjustments here to make sure you're okay. So what does a meeting look like? We talk about that meeting all the time, that no cost, no obligation meeting. Somebody comes in and wants to know, am I going to be okay? Because they're kind of scared right now. What happens in that meeting? What steps do you go through to see if they're going to be okay?
Well, the first part about it is, after you've gotten in touch with us, we're going to ask for a bunch of information up front. We're going to ask for copies of your tax returns. You can black out the Social Security numbers. We're going to ask for copies of your account statement. Same thing. Black out any personal information account numbers. We're going to ask to see copies of your estate plan, and we're going to ask to see copies of any financial plan that you have. Because what we want to do is we want to have a financial picture of you before you even come into the office. And then after you supply us with those documents, you're going to have about a 10, 15-minute phone call with one of my staff members, really just find out what your questions are, what your goals are for the meeting, what your goals are for retirement. So that way, when you come into the office, and ultimately when you come in, that meeting takes about 45 minutes to an hour, just depending on, kind of what your situation is. This way, we have all the information, we have all your questions, we have the answers prepared for you. We have everything written down, and we're giving you an outline of a financial plan. Essentially, here's what our thoughts are on your questions. Here's what our thoughts are on your income approach to retirement. And here are some alternatives. Here's what diversified portfolio could look like for you. Here's how you're allocated now. Here's the difference. Here's how much you're paying now in fees. Here's the difference in here's the difference in fees if we made some changes. Here's what your estate plan says. Is this proper? Is this what you actually wanted? Is this still current? Here's what taxes currently look like for you. Are there any mistakes that you're making? Is there anything that's missing? And then here's what tax planning could be for you. Here's the potential tax savings you could see by implementing some type of tax plan. And the biggest difference is, when you go in to see most financial advisors, and this is my opinion, this is what I've gathered, it's you just come in and ask questions and they're just answering your questions off the cuff, which, if that's what you want to do, certainly Mike and I can do that. If you want to bring all your stuff in to see me when you see me, I can answer your questions off the cuff.
Because remember that crystal ball I talked about? Yeah. My kids dropped it first day. Now it says yes, no, maybe. And I can come up with an answer to every question you have with that crystal ball now.
So we can give you general answers and general thoughts on your situation, but nothing is specific to you. And so, the biggest takeaway from the meeting is that all the questions that you had going in, Mike or I or my team, we are going to answer those questions for you as best as we can. And you are going to walk out of the office with something that says, here is exactly what Mike and Ryan and the team would do for us if we decide we want to move forward from them. If not, here are things that I should probably be thinking about and taking back to my other advisor. And number one, asking them, why haven't you done this for me? Or something that you can take back and try to work on yourself. But, it's going to be an hour that we feel is very worth your time because we're giving you the answers to the questions that you've probably been asking yourself for a number of years. And, it all starts by reaching out to the office. That's kind of the big step there. And that's what makes this difference, is that everything is key to you. It's not general. It's very specific to your situation.
Or you can watch Fox News, MSNBC Now, or whatever the heck it's called, or CNN, and you could probably Google everything you need to know in order to make a sound decision. So you really have two distinct choices on how to get through times like this.
Yeah, and I saw an article just earlier today, and I haven't read it yet, but the headline of the article was, waiting too long to spend your money in retirement is just as bad as running out of money. How can you make decisions when there's articles out there that are that confusing? If you wait too long to spend your money, it's worse than spending your money. How can you make any sense of that? How can you make any sense of any decisions, given all the plethora of information out there? Because for every 10 people that say the stock market's going to go up, there's 10 more people saying those exact reasons those people are saying the stock market's going to go up, that's why it's going to go down.
And that's why our crystal ball comes in so handy.
That magic crystal ball that became an 8-ball somewhere during the show here today. The Savvy Investor Radio Show and Podcast. We appreciate you listening today, and we would love to have the opportunity to sit down and talk through your retirement issues. I'm going to give you the number, give you the website as well, 866-597-1040. 866-597-1040, or use our website, which is thesavvyinvestorradio.com. That is all the time that we have on the Savvy Investor Radio Show and Podcast for this week. Ryan, I'll give you the last word on this one.
This is Ryan Herbert. Thank you so much for listening to the Savvy Investor Radio Show and podcast.
And this is Mike Canet. We will see you, the Savvy Investor, next week.
Advisory services offered through ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, a registered investment advisor. Insurance licensed in Maryland. ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, LLC is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if ProStatus Financial Advisors Group is licensed in your state, please call 410-863-1040. ProStatus Group, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through representatives of ProStatus Financial Advisors Group.